I had, it's Girl Scout cookie season, and so I had some Girl Scout cookies. I don't even want them, but they're on the counter, and
doesn't matter if you
jump
want
in
them.
your mouth.
Yeah.
And the thing was, we went out to brunch over the weekend, and I saw that there was the Girl Scout cookie table, outside near the restaurant where we ate, and I made the choice consciously not to buy any, but the problem was Connie also was there, and she walked by, and she made a different decision. And I don't even know that she even had any, but then she bought them and then brought them to my house, so it didn't even matter that I did that.
What's your go-to Girl Scout cookie?
I dislike all of them, but I
Really?
still eat them. Yeah, they're all.
That doesn't
they're all right.
sound
They're really,
No, it doesn't sound right at all.
they're really sweet.
Yeah.
People like that.
I think the Samoas are the ones that I was, munching on today, and they're fine. They're good. They're fine.
They're
What
pretty
about
much
you?
fantastic, Joey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they are pretty much
I know.
fantastic.
You use a Samoa for you or something else?
Oh yeah, Samoa for sure.
Okay.
I think it's very close. That and tagalongs.
Which is tagalongs, the peanut butter
The
one.
peanut butter chocolate
Oh.
ones.
Yeah,
that's a good one too.
Yeah. It's like freeze some of those bad boys up.
Yeah.
What do you think about the thin? They're not called thin mints, right?
I think they
That
are
sounds
called
right.
Thin-Mints. Yeah.
Is it thin mints? Yeah.
I mean, they're nice.
I mean, I
But,
just prefer peanut butter. Like, give me the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the Thin Mint is like a nice palate cleanser after a few samosas.
There you go. There you go.
That's fair. You could make a sandwich with the tagalongs on the outside and then put the thin mint in the middle too, with peanut butter and mint.
It's not a horrible idea.
I think it's
I
worth,
mean-
worth trying.
All right, I'll report back next week.
Yeah, thanks. I need a lab report on that one.
Yeah, so just prepare to.
It'll be great.
It'll be perfect.
Y'all motherfuckers don't watch us play throughout the year, to tell you the truth. I'm gonna be real with you, and I don't care if I get fined.
I got my sweet journey rice with some strings on.
That train is off the track.
Who doesn't love the bouncy castle?
Hitler.
Just prepare to. Yeah, so just prepare to be awash in undebeatable goodness.
Welcome, Pacers fans. You are listening to the Undebeatables, your semi-weekly Pacers podcast. And today is February 22nd, 2023. And this is episode 635. Coming to you from Indianapolis, Indiana, I'm your host, Joey Gaffrida, the man behind the dials. This show, we're going to discuss a one-on-one week of Pacers basketball with games against Utah and Chicago. And we'll cover a little bit of the All-Star weekend with our bleeding edge covering of the events of the weekend.
You heard it here last.
Joining me this week are two of our three analysts, coast to coast, like buttered toast. First, from the high school home of Jamison Brewer, Silver Spring, Maryland, it's the doctor, Jason Triplett.
What is up, Pacers fans? What is up, Undebeatables? Shout out to the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. Went there over President's Day weekend. Had a great time. Took in some history. Fact of the trip. So that the Pennsylvania City Hall in Philadelphia has a statue of William Penn on the top. It is the tallest statue on top of a building anywhere in the world.
Oh. So the statue itself is the tallest statue that's on top of the building.
That's right. It weighs like
Okay.
2 tons or something like that.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's 37 feet tall or something like that. Yeah.
Dang.
And they
Alright.
apparently, I didn't know, did you guys know that there was a curse associated with this? So in Philadelphia, there was a gentleman's agreement that out of respect to Mr. Penn, they were not going to build any buildings higher than
His head.
his head. And then in the 80s, some developer was like, screw this. And they built a bunch of big tall buildings. Tons of buildings. And so and then Philadelphia never won a title until, when was this? This was like early 2000s, I guess. Somebody put another tiny statue of William Penn on top of the tallest building in Philadelphia, and then the Phillies won the World Series the following year.
Perfect.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Somebody's
Where do you use
somebody's
your
on top
knowledge?
of their voodoo.
That's right.
What's Indianapolis's curse? What building can I put a statue on top of to get a title?
That's a good question. I don't know what our curse is.
I bet Larry Bird is involved somehow. But I think that on the top, the roof of the field house, I think that there's, if I remember, like it said Bird's house on there. I don't know if that stayed or not, but I think it was like during the construction.
So is this like a Terry Taylor issue?
Yes. Shout out to Terry Taylor, a.k.a. the Birdhouse. From Boise, Idaho, out west, it's our enforcer, John Harper.
What is going on, fellas? Shout out our master of nicknames, Jonathan Colson. Hope you're having fun, buddy.
Yeah. Before we get into the show, I just want to remind you that you can support us, the longest running Pacers podcast, by heading over to patreon.com/undebeatables to support us for as little as $1 per month. So, gentlemen, we had a couple games to talk about before the All-Star break. At this point, it's been a while. We want to talk about the game February 13th against the Utah Jazz. Pacers lose 117-123. I guess there was some... This was like so post trade deadline. We get Jordan Wara and George Hill make their debuts. They don't do a whole lot, but they were on the floor. Tyrese Halliburton picked up 30 and 12 assists. Aaron A. Smith, 19 points. And Jason, your boy, Benedict Mathurin, another 21 points off the bench. Doing no wrong. Except, we didn't win. But, he was good. We got to see Lauri Markkanen put 29 and 11 on us. Jordan Clarkson, 29 on us. And Kelly Olynyk running around out there. Of course, he's in Utah. And they put it down on us. And right before the All-Star break, 117-113, Pacers not successful tanking, and they pulled this one out at the end. They looked like a, reasonable team in the second half. The first half, they looked pretty bad. But they came back, won this one. 4 players in double figures, led by Buddy Hield with 27, and Mathurin and Duarte off the bench with 14 points. Zach LaVine putting 35 and 11 rebounds, and Vucevic 19 points on that side. That was going into the All-Star break. Pacers end 1-1. It's been a slide. The last several weeks, Pacers have just been losing most of these games, and they pull one out before the break. So As we record, it's the night before they come back to play. So, I know a couple of the guys had some roles to play in All-Star Weekend. So, they had some fun, and other ones are going to come back, well rested if they got a week plus off. I guess before we move into that stuff, Jason, do you have any thoughts on these two games before the break?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I thought that the Utah game was a very frustrating game. Utah was pretty much on fire from 3-point range, and so Pacers, anytime they sort of got within striking distance, would give up a couple threes or something like that, and then Utah would stretch the lead again. The bench unit lost that game for us. Utah had made some trades, so they shipped Mike Conley out, and so they were running Talen Horton-Tucker as their backup point guard, and apparently he was murdering us. I don't know why. Didn't make any sense at all. He's not that good at handling the ball or really creating.
Really anything else?
He had 7 dimes, and I guess he was huge, so he could see over the defense. But I thought it was a really important comeback win against the Bulls because, as you said, Joey, it looked dismal, and it would have been, not a fun All-Star break going in on a slide like the Pacers have been on, and getting, your butt handed to you in your own building right before you go onto a week-long break or whatever. That's just a bad taste in your mouth. So I thought it was good to do that. It was nice to see Buddy Hield sort of snap out of a slump. He played horribly against Utah, and really horribly in the first half of that Bulls game, and then scored 27 in the second half, and sort of single-handedly got us back into that game. And good plays down the stretch from a lot of guys to pull out that victory. So I mean, the new guys got some run. Jordan Nwora sort of stole all of Chris Duarte's and O'Shea Brissett's minutes in the Utah game. Duarte had a nice bounce back though against Chicago, which was another nice thing to see. So it was good to get a win. I guess going into the break. That's all I liked about it.
It definitely was. And shout out to Hield for breaking Reggie Miller's single season 3-point record.
Oh yeah.
In that 27-point second half effort. In fairness to the Pacers, we were without Turner and Duarte in that Jazz game. We were a little bit undermanned ourselves. I agree. It was a frustrating game, but everything that game wasn't the Chicago game was for me, right? This reminded me what I like so much about this team. There's just games that you can tell they're just not going to lose that. They don't want to lose to a divisional rival. They don't want to lose to the Bulls. And they've always got something special for that Chicago rivalry. And I love that this team, they're not ready for prime time yet, but you can tell that they've got a sense of the moment. Sure, it took 75 second half points to bring this one home. But, they fought, they scrapped, and they got the job done. It was a fun one. And, you don't want to see, Buddy Hield's record going to waste. You don't want to go into the All-Star break with the loss, and they sensed that. And, Halliburton brought us home.
Yeah, play of the game in the you mentioned my boy Mathurin. In that Chicago game, we're making this amazing comeback and really scrapping and fighting, and Mathurin at some point abuses a defender, gets to the lane, gets hammered, but makes the layup. Was so confident that he got fouled. He's sitting on the baseline, just flexing and being like, "Oh yeah," for the camera. No foul was called, and so George Hill had to come over, give him 5, and then pick him up and be like, "Go play defense, buddy. What are you doing?"
No whistle. Let's go.
But you look at the replay, and it's the guy just
I
took him out completely with the body. Of course, he assumed he got fouled.
Sucks to be a rook, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he lets them know that he's pretty vocal especially for a rookie. That
I mean, he ain't shy. That ain't Matherin's problem.
yeah. But so Pacers take a win into the break, and most of the guys get some time off. A couple of the guys had some things to do. We had in the Rising Stars Challenge, we had Nemhard and Matherin, right? And their team, I guess they were on Team POW, and they won. And Jason, you said, I guess, yeah, I did get to watch highlights of this. I struggle with All-Star Weekend. There's just like a lot of things to do, and there's a lot of things in like the All-Star game. The players on the floor don't care, so it's hard for me to muster up a bunch of energy to pay attention to when those guys don't care. But that's not the case for the Rising Stars game is not the same. Those guys do care. What were some highlights from that? Jason, you were telling me about a pretty nasty play Nemhard had.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was interesting to watch. You're right. The guys, I mean, they're not playing defense, but they're definitely a little bit more competitive, I guess, compared to the All-Star game. Matherin showed pretty well. I think early in the game, just did his typical thing and attacked the basket and like drew a foul. Like that was his MO. And then Nemhard had a pretty sweet play where he was like sort of kind of posting up on the right block and did a sweet behind the back pass to a cutting Jose Alvarado, who got the layup. And Alvarado really was the story, of both of those games. Like he was the MVP. He was definitely very active, very competitive, doing Alvarado things like stealing the ball from out of bounds and just taking the game way too seriously. I think he hit the game winner in the second game or whatever, the final, if you will. And it was good. It was especially entertaining because they did this thing where each team had a guy who was like mic'd up during play, so he's like out there running around and playing and talking to the broadcast crew or
Seems
whatever.
like a bad idea.
Yeah, but it like he was amazing at it. Like he was just like chatting it up and then would go steal the ball and be like, all right, now watch me do this. I'm just gonna go score this bucket.
Like you just need like a 20-second delay if it was me, because my brain mouth filter is non-existent. Just be like F-bombs everywhere on national TV.
Yep.
There was some of that.
This is why we're not in the NBA.
Yeah.
Harper.
That's a primary reason. I can think of a couple other secondary reasons.
Yeah, no. It's just the mouth. That's it. But yeah, it was entertaining for sure.
I guess the other thing that the Pacers were involved in was the 3-point contest, and it was an entertaining one. The final round qualified by Buddy Hield, Tyrese Halliburton, and eventual winner Damian Lillard. You think, numbers say there's 2 Pacers in there. They've got the best chance to win out of all the teams.
Except Lillard doesn't believe in your stats.
Yeah. He doesn't believe that range is a thing, and nope. So the Halliburton had the best round of the night, but it was not in the final. So I think it was the semifinal. He got like 31. Was just
he was on fire. Like
it
was like the contest was built for him. So
yep.
But yeah, ever since they introduced those, like they changed the sponsor, so I don't know who
Starry
it is now.
Balls.
The Starry Balls, yeah. Anyway.
Go ahead and make sense out of that.
Which are the deep shots that are worth 3 points. I think Lillard hit both of his in the final round because that's what he does.
Yeah,
and
he is literally
such a huge difference.
this season in professional basketball games against NBA players, he's 27 of 87 between 30 and 34 feet. Like, first of all, he's taken 87 of those shots, which is wild. The second of all,
in like 50 games.
He hits a third of them. Like, that used to be a pretty good 3-point percentage.
Yep.
And yeah, now he just cans it from out there as expectation. The man is a machine.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
If you're going to lose to
That
a
was
guy, you can't feel bad about losing a big game day.
That's right. And it was his third time in the contest, but he healed has won it once before, I think. So yeah, I think all parties came away happy.
Yeah.
Jill and I were watching it, and she was just saying that probably Heald and Halliburton, neither one of them wanted to beat the other guy, so that threw them off their game. That's why they were like not competitive, and opened the door for Lillard to just sneak in there.
The good news is he'll probably never do another 3-point contest now. So
Nope.
next
He's
year
done.
it can just be Tyrese and Buddy.
He even looked like like during the celebration, like he was just like exhausted already. He was like, I'm too old for this shit. It was just a checkbox.
Yeah, exactly. It's on his Hall of Fame resume now.
Exactly. That's right.
Not that needs any padding, but hey, what are you going to do?
Let's see what else. There was the dunk contest. You guys get to watch some dunk contests. It was less disappointing than it has been in some of them in the past. I mean, there's been some good ones recently, but there's been some stinkers too. I think this one was not too bad. We had the eventual champion Harper. What was I calling this guy?
MacGuffin?
The MacGuffin. That's not his name though. Mac McClung, I think is his name. He was on as a G League player. He was on a 2-week contract with the 76ers. He's like 6'2" and can jump most of the way out of the gym. He was hitting filthy dunks and hitting them on the first time. I mean,
yep.
He looked good. Looked good doing that. I think it was his first one, the one where he jumped over someone on someone else's shoulders.
Jumped over 2 people.
Yes.
So he jumped over 2 people, essentially on shoulders like 1.5 people high, jumped over them, grabbed the ball, put the ball off the backboard, and then dunked it. Pretty nasty. And hit it on the first try. I'll take it.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah. I thought it was a super entertaining dunk contest.
Yeah, star of the
I thought
weekend.
even outside of McClung, it was lots of good dunks, and like nobody was like taking too long trying a ridiculous dunk that never happened, and
right.
There was some showmanship. The only thing I didn't understand was there was one point, I forget who it was. I think it was Kenyon Martin's son. It came out and wheeled out this whole like special ball.
It sounds like a black ball.
It was like a black ball with there was no explanation of what the ball was or why it was special. And then the dunk was just his dad threw it off the glass and then he dunked it or something. So yeah, that was confusing. And then the other hilarious thing was what's this guy's name? Jericho Sims.
Yep.
His whole thing was just he just wanted to put his arm in the hoop. So like every dunk he did was like he put his elbow in the hoop, and then he like kind of put his shoulder in the hoop, and it was and then he like had pinned some note to the net and pulled it down and read it. I don't know. It was kind of lame, but McClung, like you said, he hit him early on his first try, and like that's just so key to winning the dunk contest.
So apparently that ball is Wilson. So the manufacturer Wilson, it's an airless basketball.
Okay.
And it's 3D printed.
Okay.
But it basically the design is supposed to bounce and feel very close to a normal basketball. But
Okay.
it's 3D printed.
So the idea is that you never have to pump it up.
Yeah.
So when we say airless,
It's like like the outside's like a lattice.
Yeah,
It's
it
not-
looked like it was porous, like there were
Oh,
just
okay,
holes
I gotcha.
everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. There's essentially, yeah, the outside is just, it's a lattice, and there's.
So it's
the
kind of like
inside
a
is essentially
souped up
hollow.
version. Did Wei Win ever have one of those balls that just had like it was just like
yeah.
holes everywhere or whatever?
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's like a souped up version of that, I guess.
yeah. But like, it's also supposed to. I mean, those are fine because you just kind of squeeze them. But the ones for little kids you squeeze them. But this one's supposed to like bounce and behave like a normal basketball. But they got. I'm reading this article here. They found some material properties that were. I love this though. It's like, and it's what you'd expect, but after they figured out the right mixture of things, it says before this achievement, all of our prototypes either broke or failed to bounce. I feel like those are the only ways it can really fail, right? Like,
one exploded.
It's just a prototype. Yeah, I guess it could explode. But I guess it'd be a bummer if you were on the prototype basketball team and you came back with your hair was I guess like in the cartoons when you're in an explosion your hair goes like straight back and it's gray or something like that. And sorry, it was a tough day at Wilson.
Back to the drawing board, guys.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was that. Sorry, that was a little digression on that ball.
Well, I mean, obviously, world hunger is solved because we made an airless basketball. So obviously, all the big problems are solved. So that's cool.
I think there was some dissatisfaction about one of the judges. Karl Malone was like his scoring. He was one of the judges. He was like 5 points below. He was like an old grumpy man. He didn't like anything.
He didn't want anybody on his lawn. That's for sure.
Yeah. So it's like 49, 49, 50, 49, 44. And then, I don't know, I've read some other problematic things about him recently as well that were, and he dealt with them about the same way. Said, get off my lawn, reporters. I'm not talking to you about these terrible things I did.
Allegedly. But definitely.
So, But, so the dunk contest, pretty fun. We had an airless 3D printed basketball and a bunch of good dunks. And, it definitely, recalls some of these other ones. There were drones involved and, just repeated missed dunks and, just stuff like that. It was not a great viewing experience. This was fun. McGuffin wins, and I think he certainly deserved it. And like some of these previous dunk champions, have made a good name for themselves in the league. I still remember the Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine ones.
That was as good as it's ever going to get.
I mean, that was just epic.
Yeah. So if we can get in that realm again, I'll watch that every day.
Yep. It's almost worth having Aaron Gordon in the league. I don't know why I didn't pick on Zach LaVine. He plays for the Bulls. Should have gone there.
Right.
It's true.
Sorry, Aaron. Suck it, Zach.
And LaVine didn't have to go to the Bulls, like somebody else would have taken him, but he did it. I think the other thing, the All-Star game proper, I guess.
Did you watch the skills challenge?
I did not watch the skills challenge. I was gonna watch
too
the
far.
highlights of that. I was gonna watch the highlights of that because we were tied up during all like all that stuff anyway. But I was gonna watch the highlights later, and Connie was with me, and I had selected on YouTube, and she said, "Yeah, don't bother. It's." She said it was no good, so I didn't do it on her recommendation. Harper, did you watch the skills challenge?
No, I did not. I also didn't watch the All-Star game on Mike Malone's advice. Following the All-Star game, coach of one of the All-Star teams involved in this game told the media, and I quote, "It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be part of a great weekend. Great players. But that is the worst basketball game ever played." So I decided to go ahead and not watch that game.
Good choice. Me neither. What was the final score? It was like 180 to 170 or something like that.
184 to 175. Apparently with the format like of the fourth quarter thing, like there was some minor drama or something, but there's no defense. Apparently Kyrie Irving and Embiid kind of wanted to play defense, but no one was feeling it. So they gave up.
Who won the? I think this is Team LeBron's first loss in the All-Star game, so that's the big news. But who won? Who was the MVP?
Well, it had to be Jason Tatum. He scored 55, I think, and was the most in an All-Star game.
That's a lot of points.
It is. Do you guys remember one of them that I did watch, which was several years ago at this point? But Paul George was going on. He was taking it real seriously. I think he probably was on the Pacers at that point, but he took it real seriously and was scoring a bunch too. And I think he was getting close to the record. He was starting to near that, and I don't think that the other players on the court wanted him to have that honor, and they shut him down.
As well, they should have.
Yep, that was the right move. Yeah. History will smile on that event.
Yeah. So yeah, I had it on at the beginning of the game. And it was, they do the schoolyard style, draft. Like I think they did last year, but they put the whole thing. They do the video of the whole thing now, which is interesting. But it looked so the last. I guess there was some. I don't know. There was a situation, but LeBron was getting ready to make his pick. There was two players left. It was Jokic and Markkanen, I think, were the last two, and while LeBron was like basically getting ready to announce his pick, Jokic just walked up and just went onto LeBron's team, and LeBron went with it and just said, "Of course, I'm taking the Joker." And then afterwards, I guess it looked, of course, it looked like he just said, "Well, I'm not going to be the last guy," but he said afterwards he didn't realize Markkanen was still there. He thought he was the last player, so he just thought, of course I'm going this way because I'm the last one, but he said he didn't realize.
I don't know if that makes it better that he just completely forgot about Markkanen's existence a little bit. I don't know if that actually makes that better.
Right. Yeah, so. But yeah, so and he had said, he's like, look, I expect to get picked last. My game is not, the game I play is not fun for the All-Star game.
Not well suited to the All-Star game.
No.
The guy's probably going to be MVP, and he's the last guy, effectively, or could have been in the All-Star game.
Yeah, exactly.
It is what it is.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Team LeBron had 118 points in the paint.
Team Giannis took 66 3-pointers.
Yeah, and hit 44% of them.
Oh my God.
Because they're all undefended.
Yep.
And that's the thing. So we had the game on, and it's just guys they're just running back and forth, chucking up threes and taking there's uncontested layups and uncontested threes. And I was like, I can't. We have one TV in our home. We have computers. We have one TV in our home, and I cannot justify to my wife that this is the thing that should be on when there's it's not entertaining. It's the best players in the world playing unentertaining basketball. What am I going to say? I can't argue for this. So we did not watch it.
Damian Lillard took 23 pointers in 23 minutes of game time. That's incredible.
Somebody needs to tell that guy he's got a green light.
Said, hey guys, I won the 3-point contest. If you didn't notice,
check your Twitter, but you'll see me holding the 3-point trophy.
Let's see. And our boy Halliburton was on Team LeBron, but an efficient game in almost 14 minutes. 7 of 9 from the floor. 4 or 6 from the range, 18 points, 3 assists. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Well done.
Not bad for a first All-Star game.
Yeah.
Darren Fox scored 0 points, so there's that. And Doncic only had 4, which I take to mean that Tyrese Halliburton is, 4.5 times better than Luka Doncic. So.
Yep.
That's proven. QED.
Before we get out of here, I guess first of all, is there anything else about All-Star Weekend you guys are dying to discuss? Jason, you look like you're bouncing over there. You got something. There's got to be something.
You're bouncing like a 3D airless basketball.
I'm bouncing like the version, the beta of that.
So I guess I did want to talk. There was a couple things. I think it's a short week of basketball. We're gonna put just the one show out this week. But I did want to talk. There were a couple roster changes, a couple things that happened across the league. The first one. During the trade that brought George Hill to the Pacers, and the Pacers had cut James Johnson, but then they also re-signed him. I had seen, sort of heard some rumblings that may happen. There was like a game or two in between when they had cut him and when he was signed back, and he was apparently in the stands, like he was courtside next to the bench, but actually sitting in like a spectator seat, but he was participating like he always does. There was no difference. I think the Pacers just gave him a courtside seat close enough so he could still join in with his team. But he's back on the roster, and I think that there was some speculation that, hey, if you have George Hill, maybe you don't need him. But I'd heard that he was everything I've heard and read about this guy is that he's been very important, particularly to the young players on the team. They really like having him there. Everybody's talking to him during basically anytime they're not on the floor, they're talking to him. So glad to see him there. Harper, do you are you bummed out that he's back, or do you think that he's a solid addition to this team?
Yeah, I'm firmly anti-Johnson, as you know. No, I mean, it's great. Like, let's get him on the coaching track. If players relate to him and he's doing a good job teaching, let's see how far he can take it. If he's got a gift, let's try and maximize. Like it.
Yeah, for sure. Also, I just saw this not too long ago, but Russell Westbrook joined the Clippers.
He's on the coaching track as well, right? Yeah.
He's gonna. I think it may be a different.
Stumped you.
He did. Trying to say something politely is what's trying to happen. No, I don't believe so. Just struggling to do
Neither
that
does
nicely.
anyone else.
Yeah.
You're in good company.
Yeah. So he's there. I think him and PG and Kawhi. I'll watch that. I'll watch somebody else beat them. But So that was, a big name that moved recently. And also, Nate McMillan was relieved of duties from the Atlanta Hawks. Jason, I know you've been a Mac head for a long time. Were you surprised to see it, and were you surprised to see it now? Mid season.
No, I wasn't surprised to see it. There's been lots of reporting about dissatisfaction between Trae Young and Nate McMillan. This is standard trajectory for Nate McMillan. He's a really good basketball coach in the sense that he gets teams to do sort of the nitty gritty things that win you a lot of ball games in the NBA. He wants you to play defense hard and not turn the ball over.
Attention to detail. Yep.
Exactly. And that wins you a lot of games. It also is probably very boring for a guy like Trae Young and DeJounte Murray and all of the other skilled basketball players that are on the Hawks roster. And so, I think it was sort of inevitable.
Yeah.
And as far as the timing is concerned, the Hawks didn't do a lot at the trade deadline, so I think this is the organization's way of, shaking up things in the locker room or whatever to try to give the team a little boost. They are currently, where are they at?
29 and 30, sitting on the 8 seed, and they're 3 games back of Miami in the 7. So.
Right. Yeah. So they're play-in level, but they are in contact with the top 6. Like they could.
Yeah.
If they start playing ball correctly.
Yeah.
Easily.
There's no reason to think with the talent that they have, they shouldn't be performing much better, right?
Right. Yep.
It seems like Nate. Like the way that you described him is actually absolutely correct, but it feels like sometimes he tries to make the game a little bit easier for guys by robbing the game of the offensive complexity that the current NBA really needs, right? And so that will cut down on your turnovers. That does make it easier for some of your guys, but it doesn't make scoring easier, right?
Right. And
he's just no longer a forward-looking NBA coach, unfortunately. It's just. It was just a matter of time there. Going into this season, we talked about with the pickup of Murray that in order for that to work, Trae Young was going to have to be an off-the-ball player. That just never happened. And whether Nate McMillan just never had that conversation, maybe he didn't tell him, or whether Trae Young said, I don't want to, not gonna. Either way, it didn't happen. And now they're a middling team, and it is what it is. So, you definitely got to shake it up. I don't know who you put in there in the middle of the season.
So, should we recommend Nate Bjorkgren?
I mean, you got to follow a Nate with a Nate.
He's a winner. He can definitely do that job. Hopefully they don't try to steal Lloyd Pierce back, who lost his job to Nate McMillan.
Yeah. We like him where he is.
Exactly.
So I think that covers about everything that's going on in this section of the season. There are games coming back up. The break is ending. I guess Jason, do you have the schedule handy for the next couple games?
I do. Pacers play 2 games this week. So Thursday, host the Boston Celtics in Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Celtics are first in the East, as they have been all year, pretty much. But sometimes it's an opportunity to steal a game after an All-Star break. And then the Pacers head out for a 4-game road trip starting on Saturday. They play at Orlando before going to Dallas, San Antonio, and Chicago. 2 games, guys. What do you guys think? Sweep it? I'm going to call a sweep. I think we go 2-0.
I don't think we need to beat Boston, but I think Orlando is very tough to beat or tough to lose to. So I'll take I'll take 1-1. We're gonna rack up some wins on this road trip, right? Because Orlando's tough to lose to. San Antonio's on like a 14 game skid. Good luck losing that one. And we hate losing to Chicago, so we'll probably win that.
I don't know. I think you guys don't have. You think the team isn't on the right trajectory, and I think we are. I think we're going to go 0-2, and I think that we listen. San Antonio might be on a 14 game skid, but we know how to lose too, and I think the organization.
Sure, we do. I find us unmotivated to be unmotivated.
I think that the organization now, they've shut the team down. They told some of the guys, but I think that they've got what it takes, So we're gonna be. I think we're gonna skid right into the draft coming up later this year.
All right, I love your optimism or pessimism. It's definitely an ism.
Some sort of ism.
It's one of each.
Meh-ism.
Meh.
We want to get one more segment in before you go because it's a short week. We are still in the mood to do some wild speculation. So I think it's time for an Undegooglable. Jason, I know you got some burning questions. How can I help you here?
Oh, are we doing Undegooglables?
That was the plan.
Super excited.
You told us we had to, so.
You said we signed up for it.
In the end, it's going to be better and more true than Google can give you.
I have tons of burning questions. This one, I don't exactly remember the context of why I thought of this. Probably talking about Ethan's behavior or something like that. But the idea of somebody being a goody two shoes, like somebody that's very prim and proper, and yeah, I don't know. Goody two shoes.
So that's interesting. That makes me think of it slightly differently. I think you're right. I think of it just as a straight up suck up.
Okay, sure, okay.
But prim and proper is maybe a little bit easier to visualize.
No, but I think you're right. I think that in my mind those go hand in hand. It's somebody. It's not just a suck up, but somebody's that's like the epitome of the
apple shiner,
like teacher's pet kind of situation, right?
Yeah, I think it's both. I do think of it as sort of some of both of those, where, the person they're always doing everything right, and they're also they're sucking up to teacher or your boss, or they're always doing all that stuff, but it's not just in my opinion, it's not just they're good at something. It's there's also the suck up part is a important part of being a goody two shoes.
Okay, so I like that.
I guess before we get into this, would any of you consider yourself, either now or at other times in your life, were you a goody two shoes?
Maybe when I was very young. I kind of went hard the other way at some point.
Yeah. I have a sense that
one shoes.
Yeah, probably. Certainly when I was young, I was a rule follower.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
100%. I was terrified of breaking rules.
Right, but I never was. Never was a suck up. I don't think.
I feel like I probably was in that 0 to 4th grade range, definitely in grade school. I could see that. I could see that as a fair descriptor of where I was, and then my brain broke.
Sure.
And I became very anti-authoritative.
Yeah. And that follows to this day.
And
yeah,
you,
I think,
Joseph?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't think I was a suck up. I definitely was. Wanted to do. When I was grade school, I wanted to do the right thing. Wanted to follow the rules. So, may have been seen that way by other little kids, but that was never my intention. So
Right.
But maybe it never is. I don't know. Or do they do it? Or do they do it knowingly? I don't know.
I think that, well, yeah, that's a good question. I think there is some level of knowingness to a goody two shoes.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I think that's right, but I also think that when we were banding that term about back when, people would deny this accusation. People weren't like leaning in.
Right, for sure.
So
yeah, no, it's not a compliment.
It's certainly not.
Yeah. So when do we think this phrase came about? Like, is this
Post shoes.
a more recent term?
Post shoes, yeah, definitely in the last 20,000 years.
So, anytime in human history. Okay, great. So, yeah, do we think this is like a modern, recent thing, or it's it goes back to?
I'm just, to me, that hinges on why is it two shoes? Is it like the only thing I can think of is like, is somebody like if you were bad, or or was it like were you not able? Is your family not able to afford two shoes? Like,
Right, yeah.
Like
goody two shoes over here.
Yeah,
his both feet shod.
This guy. Show off over here. Yeah.
Like, does this come? This is like Depression era, when no one has shoes and.
Right. Yeah.
Well, so when you first said the prim and proper thing, excuse me, my first thought was, the person who like, it's easy for me to visualize someone who just like is very tidy, very squared away, right? The shoes are always shined. Right. And that could be an indicator of other behaviors, perhaps, right? Mm-hmm. But it also just kind of sounds like a candy bar to me. Or like a weird mob name.
Yes.
Hey, Tony Two Shoes,
Hey, goody two shoes over here.
I don't know. I feel like
candy bar.
Yeah, when did people have shoes that needed shining? I feel like patent leather wasn't anything until the 20th century, was it? Maybe.
Well,
maybe
also, like I think that we.
I would say.
I think that we now have. If you guys remember, we've done the name game before on the show, and I think candy bar or mob name is going to be a good addition.
Colson definitely needs to put that game together
Get to
immediately.
work on that, Colson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing for this one. I can't even. The shining makes sense. I wonder, is this potentially military in origin in any way? Like,
boy, that feels awful vanilla for a military insult, doesn't it?
It does, certainly.
But I mean,
you could imagine that if you're in boot camp and there's one guy that's always doing everything right.
Right.
They would be not the most popular person.
Yeah.
But yeah, they would come up with something much worse than goody two shoes.
Like a beating.
Right. And you don't need a fancy nickname for a beating.
Is there any chance that Goody is a trade name?
Like Sam Goody?
Like, there's a brand of shoes.
Goody shoes. Maybe there was a brand of Goody shoes. That's a good guess.
Yeah, I always feel like the Goody, and that certainly doesn't discount this, but the Goody to me was sort of like like they're always doing the right thing kind of thing. With the two shoes, just. Maybe it was just a different time when the shoes were not like a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, or maybe there just was rampant one shoe punishments going on where.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you only had one shoe, does it make sense to just wear no shoes?
Well, that's the punishment. You have to wear one so they're uneven. It's uncomfortable.
Yep. And it's
I feel like walking.
And it's very noticeable.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. I mean, that would be. Yeah, I'd hate that if you were just walking around with one shoe.
Yeah. I'm going with like weird 1800s punishment.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, that's about the best guess we've got so far.
I mean, falconry, anyone?
Maybe the Falcons would steal one shoe.
Is there any way this is nautical in a sense?
It could be horse racing somehow.
Oh no! I just
Horse
as
racing.
you were saying that.
Ah.
But the horses would have 4 shoes, right? Like.
That's a good point. Maybe? I don't know.
But the jockeys would have 2 shoes.
Yeah, let's go. Horse racing, 19th century. That's my guess.
All right, I like it. I don't know.
For no reason.
How are we spelling goody?
I'm going Goody.
Yeah, that's what I was doing too.
So dictionary.com says an ostentatiously virtuous or well-behaved person.
Yeah.
Google says from the nickname of the heroine of History of Little Goody Two Shoes from 1776, a popular children's story in which an orphan girl triumphed over adversity through her unwavering virtue and hard work to become a teacher and marry a rich man, using her newfound wealth to help the poor and do good works.
It was it's a Cinderella story of Goody Two Shoes, the nickname of a poor orphan girl named Marjorie Meanwell. Just clever naming. Who goes through life with only one shoe. So
What?
that's something. When a rich gentleman gives her a complete pair, she is so happy that she tells everyone that she has 2 shoes.
Where's the goody? Is that just because she does good work?
Because she means well.
Oh, just her name. Maybe she doesn't mean well. So how did they get the negative I mean, in this story, it's a Cinderella. It's a Cinderella variation. She seems like she's a good person, and has a virtuous person.
So, according to Wiki, although the history of Little Goody Two Shoes is credited with popularizing the term Goody Two Shoes, the actual origin of the phrase is, of course, unknown. For example, it appears a century earlier in Charles Cotton's Voyage to Ireland in burlesque. Mistress Maris complained that the pottage was cold, and all long of your fiddle faddle, quoth she. Why then, Goody Two Shoes, what if it be? Hold on, if you can, your tittle tattle, quoth he. Because that's apparently what poetry was in 1670.
And it's another candy name, Fiddle Faddle. Or wait, what is that? Isn't that it's like caramel popcorn or something
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
And maybe a mobster.
Hey, Fiddle Faddle, I need you to take this guy out.
Goody, a shortening of good wife, being the equivalent of Mrs. and 2 shoes, implicitly comparing her to people who have no shoes. Interesting.
Mental Floss says that originally the phrase of being a goody was not always a bad thing. But by the 1870s, there was another phrase, goody goody, based on an earlier 19th century sense of goody as someone characterized by inept manifestations of good or pious sentiment. The goody goody influenced our modern usage of the term goody two shoes. Interesting. All right. Don't know that we got a super satisfactory answer, but
There's also, we want to talk about candy some more.
Sure.
Phrases.org.uk. We're talking about goody goody. There's a children's phrase that was from the story. The children's phrase "goody gumdrops" and "goody goody gumdrops" began life in the mid 20th century, and the expression was found in the Harold teen cartoon strip. You guys know that by the American cartoonist Carl Ed in 1936. But "goody gumdrops" is and if you'd like to use it a phrase or use it as a sentence, cries of jubilation include "wow, wacko, goody gumdrops, lovely grub," and "by gog, jolly custard."
Lovely grub.
I'm definitely going to integrate "by gog, jolly custard" into my vernacular. Henceforth, post haste.
Yes.
To
Please.
wit.
All right. Well, that was a good one. That yeah, I mean, I certainly know the phrase, and I think we all had a pretty good understanding of what it meant, but no idea why. We all know that what the sort of type of person is. I see another description is someone who's virtuous in a coy, smug, or sentimental manner. So, anyway, I miss Colson too, but he'll be back next week. You know what? I don't think he's a goody two shoes either.
No, I don't think he ever really was.
Sorry, Mom and Pop Colson, but that's not who he is. All right, team. Well, I think that should do it for this show. We'll be back with you next week with more real basketball games to talk about. Maybe by next week we'll find a way to have our show 3D printed. We'll see if we'll hit up the lab and see if we can get that done. We'll make it airless and 3D printed.
Airless podcast.
Yep, first of its kind. So, I was looking at some videos of. It's just kind of looking at some videos of the airless basketball from Wilson. And the thing that did not give me, and this is in their promo video, the thing that did not give me a great feeling about it was in the introduction promo video, they showed the ball, they talked about it a lot, but one thing they did not do was show it in action at any point. They did not bounce it, they did not shoot it, they did none of those things. So, but maybe it's not quite ready for prime time.
Well, literally ready for prime time. It was in the dunk contest.
I mean, I guess, yeah. Yeah. Maybe that is. Maybe I said it backwards.
I mean, it's in
Anyway,
prime time.
we'll be
It
back
may
with
or
you.
may not be ready.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We'll be back with you next week. Until then, you can hit us up on social media. We are on Twitter at Undebeatables. We're on Facebook.com/TheUndebeatables. Our website is theundebeatables.com. There's a contact form there. You can use that to send us a message. And email. Shout out at theundebeatables.com. And at the website /store is your number one source for medium t-shirts.
I think just smalls now, right?
Yeah,
for
sure.
the architect, Donnie Walsh, and our once and always Hall of Fame head coach, Bobby Slick Leonard, turn out the lights. The party's over.
Love it. Nice. I was getting a little like William Shatner vibe for a moment there.
Yeah, I was trying to do once. I read an interview with Christopher Walken You know, he's got that weird cadence.
Sure.
And he said that whenever he gets a script that he's supposed to read, the first thing he does is just get rid of all the punctuation, and then just reads it like that.
Walking it up.
Yep.
Do you think they send him a Word document, he just does like search and replace for, like with every, all punctuation, replace with nothing.
With space bar.
Replace with the
Yeah.
space. Yeah.
It'd be amazing.
That's interesting. It tracks, so I get it. I mean, I don't get it, but he's successful at what he does, so not gonna argue.